Thank you for joining us today at the virtual office hours. This monthly virtual presentation and discussion session is a program of the Vermont Historical Records Program, which is a part of the Vermont State Archives and Records Administration. VHRP is generously funded by the National Historical Publications and Records Commission and the Vermont Secretary of State's Office. My name is Jane Cadwallader, and as the roving archivist, I provide technical assistance and guidance to historical societies, public libraries with special collections, and municipalities in support of the VHRP mission to improve public access to and engagement with historical records, and to encourage and facilitate collaborative efforts among Vermont's historical records repositories. Today we are discussing emergency preparedness and how planning now can help when the unexpected occurs. Emergency preparedness is a set of activities we can undertake to understand the risks that impact our repositories and develop plans of action based on these risks. So, what types of risk are we facing? The Vermont State Emergency Management Plan identifies 24 natural, technological, and human-caused hazards of concern statewide. You can learn more about these risks from the plan, but it does include flooding, wind, data breach, chemical hazard, cyber incident, and long-term power outage as examples. These hazards were identified following an extensive stakeholder engagement process which involved evaluation of historical data, consideration of changing climate trends in the case of natural hazards, input from subject matter experts, and feedback from stakeholders across the state. As historical records repositories, we also have to consider the risks inside our buildings: plumbing, electric, and gas systems, the building envelope, meaning the roof, walls, flooring, doors, and windows, the computers, hard drives, alarm systems, etc. These are all materials and tools we use to preserve and protect historical records, and each one has the potential of failing at any time. So it is imperative that we prepare for impending disaster even as we hope it never occurs. Disaster planning can often be put on hold or delayed because of more pressing issues affecting your organization right now. So what is emergency preparedness? As defined by the Department of the Interior, preparedness is the range of deliberate, critical tasks and activities necessary to build, sustain, and improve the operational capability to prevent, protect against, mitigate the effect of, respond to, and recover from incidents. This includes development and implementation of standards for planning, training, and exercises, personnel qualifications, and equipment certification. On this slide, I placed the FEMA preparedness cycle to help illustrate the continuous steps of emergency preparedness. Planning what your repository will do once a disaster occurs. Organizing and equipping your repository for response with tools and supplies. Training stakeholders, including volunteers, staff, board members, on what to do in case of an emergency. Taking time to plan exercises for the stakeholders can see how the plan works, and evaluation and improvement on the plan. Today, I'm going to focus on planning, or where to start. It's often difficult to figure out where to start because there are tons of resources for disaster planning on the federal, state, and local levels. First, you should discuss your interest with your administration and determine if you already have a disaster plan in place. This is a team effort and needs input from a variety of sources from within your organization and outside. This is not a lone wolf project. If you do have a plan, does it need to be updated? If you don't have a plan, a good place to start is the Vermont Arts and Culture Disaster and Resilience Network. VACDARN provides resources and training in readiness and in how to respond in the event of an emergency to mitigate the impact of disasters and ensure that our communities recover quickly and grow more resilient. It also works to build relationships between individuals and groups from the arts and culture sector and emergency management. Backdarn maintains a number of resources on their website that you can use to help assess and plan for emergencies. For example, the Risk Evaluation and Planning Program Toolkit from Heritage Preservation and a Vermont-specific simplified emergency plan template. Remember, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just need to decide on what tools to use and who your team is. Another valuable tool listed here is the Pocket Response Plan from the Society of American Archivists and Heritage Prevention. This is a template that fits on a piece of letter-sized paper that can be easily folded up and placed in your wallet and taken with you everywhere you go. It can be customized to your type of repository. The two listed were created by the VHRP from the main template for public libraries and municipalities. We are currently working on a template for historical societies, but you can use any of these templates and customize them to your needs. The document records your contacts, vendors, emergency responders, and first steps during a disaster response. These can be printed out and shared with members of the emergency response team. So although this is a brief presentation on emergency preparedness, I hope it has you thinking about what you can do to prepare your repository for future events. Any preparation you make now will impact any future outcomes of an emergency. Think about taking time in the next few weeks to begin that discussion. Look at the resources we've shared today. Update your contacts or make a list of needed supplies. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope the short presentation inspires you to move forward with your organization's emergency preparedness. Before the Q&A, I would like to present one more link for the VHRP Resource Library section on emergency preparedness and disaster response. On this page, you will find a summary of the topic with links to additional tools and resources, including the VHRP Department of Libraries Introductory and Intermediate Disaster Planning webinars for public libraries. Now I'd like to open up the virtual floor for questions and comments. I'm sure we have all experienced an unexpected event. What happened? And if you have any disaster plans or tools at your repository, how did they impact your disaster response? Thank you and have a good day.